Hey, we're going to make a part 2 to the budget DIY build. And that will show you basically how we got to here, to this stage. We are going to explain a few things here before we get into the video and we start to show you how to primer and do all this other stuff here. This is a kit that we're going to make available. It's the YTmac-05 kit. Comes with JF tweeter, a Mac-05 mid base, and then it will come with 2 baffles that are the same size, same offsets. Comes with all the crossover components for left and right, and I think we might even throw in some ports too. Yeah, and so as I tear these apart, I'm going to put them in their own individual box because I have these matched. I have the levels of each left and right matched, so they're really close when it comes to left and right. So I'm going to put everything, this crossover components in there, this crossover components in there. The drivers are going to be separated left and right. We're going to add some feet to our cabinet. We might do the spikes. We might just do some rubber nubber things. We'll put the 2-gang terminal cup in there. We might use just some breadboards, or we might use the JF 2-way crossover boards to do all of our boards on. We'll screw them probably to the bottom. We'll take some pictures of that stuff and kind of put it in the video as we go. I think we're going to come back. We might put a black trim piece in here. We can kind of dress it up as we go here. After I put the feet on, we'll paint that black on the bottom. We're making a budget build, so it's, you know, wood's got a few little spots in it, but I mean, we could wet sand it down or even just dry it with 500 grit, re-clear it, and it would turn out even nicer. But you got to put a limit on what you're doing here. If you're building a budget build, you can't spend $3,000 in paint and clear coat and then spend $150 in drivers. So, well, let's get to the video. We're in the spray booth. It's going to be a little echoey in here because, well, it's a big metal box. But we're back and we got it all taped off. We're going to blow it off with an air hose out of here. I don't tape this off because it's not going to get much overspray in there. If I had all my dampening stuff in there, I would probably tape it off because I wouldn't want to get that all full of paint. But we do that at the end. So, yep, we're just going to blow it off and expose any little pinholes that we might have. We're going to be careful around this tape because we don't want to blow the tape up. Okay, we were going to use the U-Paul High 5. I went and priced it out a couple days ago, and it's $25 a can now, so it's ridiculous. We're not going to use that. We're actually going to use the product that we sell, and anything that we've talked about on this video, we pretty much sell it on our website, but this video is not about that. It's about just doing some DIY stuff. But this stuff's about $15 a can for the gray. The white's kind of expensive, and I don't know why. And the black, I think, is $1 more than the gray. So we're going to use the Access brand, which is a great brand. You can use it for 3D printing. You know, when people 3D print, they always want to smooth it out. Great rattle can primer for that. It's got great adhesion to plastic. It's got good fill. It's got great sandability. So this is what we're going to use. Make sure you have proper ventilation when you're painting and a mask. And we're just going to go around, we're going to put one solid coat on it. We're not going to get heavy on nothing because it's going to start to show some pinholes and stuff that we missed. And that's why I don't use a sealer or like shellac sealer to do a primer coat, because you can't see if you have any pinholes. You need something that has a pigment so you can see the pinholes. So there, now you can see these, where that particle board was exposed, and that shellac primer still didn't get in that particle board, so you can see them pinholes in there. But we'll fill those. I'll show you some inexpensive way to fill those. This will fill. This is MDF here, so that will fill. We just need to put more primer on it. We're not gonna sit here and hose it down the first time. We want it to bond in, and then once we sand it, we'll have a mechanical bond to it every time we put it on anyways. Okay, we're back. We let this dry for about 45 minutes. We're gonna sand it with some 320. I just took, it's a stick of paper. We got a little hand sand one here. And we're just gonna lightly sand it just so we can have a bond to stick back to put the primer again. All right, we're gonna use a dolphin putty. It's just a 1K putty. I know that PPG or 3M, I think, made like a red stuff. That stuff's terrible. It's kind of the same stuff, but this is about 40 years newer. All I do is just squeeze it out of the thing. That way you don't get it everywhere. I'll try to get in a position here. Really squeeze it in there. And this is acrylic, so you gotta kind of work fast. There. Now I think this has to dry for about a half hour, so we put a little air on it, just a small fan, let a small fan blow by it. And then we'll hit it again with 320, but we'll be back and I'll show you sanding that. And then in the meantime, I'm gonna sand the other side, get it ready, and let's sand some dolphin glaze. Acrylic body filler. Got a piece of 220. Just lightly sanding it, trying to get up to my paper, my tape edge, I'm sorry. Just want to open them up for right now, and then we'll come back and block them off with the 320. Use my spatula that we were spreading it with. Wrap my paper on there, that way I can get right up to the edge. And then that way all of our pinholes will be done. And then we'll lightly sand that primer. And then we'll put final coat of primer on it. We're doing thin coats because we want to build these edges up, because those will soak all the primer in. So yeah, let's put some primer on it. We can put another little heavier than we did last time, and then we'll lightly sand that in a half hour, and then we'll put 2 heavy back-to-back coats on. So there we go. We'll let her sit about a half hour, and then we'll come back and hit her quick with 320. Well, we got it all primered. This is 2 heavy coats for the last 2 coats. And we had to fix a few things as we went, just like anything else. There was a couple pinholes that we missed here and there, but we got them fixed. So we're gonna pull the tape off for this, and we are going to sand it. And when we're done sanding it, it will look like this. Basically, we're gonna come along and we're gonna sand those tape lines so we get that edge out of there. We want to get that edge out of there and make it as smooth as possible, but we don't want to sit and push our fingers into it. And we don't want to burn through all that primer that we just put on there, because that's what seals all this stuff off underneath there. If you keep burning through it, you got to keep putting primer on, so stop burning through it. Just 320 on some of the hard to get areas, and then I use 500. Basically, I came along and I 320'd it, kind of get it knocked down. And then I came back with 500, and then when I was done, I took a gray piece of Scotch-Brite. Gray and red is for auto body, green is for cleaning dishes. So I took a piece of gray Scotch-Brite. We just go along and make sure we get all that. That'll kind of smooth out some of them edges, and they won't be so sharp. Yep. And we're gonna just start to peel the paper on this. Okay. And it's gonna peel away because we kind of sanded some of that paper when we were sanding it, so it makes it a little more difficult, but it comes off. Little sanding tip, I just took a household sponge that has not been soaked in water, and I just stick some paper to it, sticky back paper, or you can use just regular paper and wrap it around and hold on to it. You just want something softer, so it's not so hard. Otherwise, hard block is gonna really knock things down, and we already did all that. We're just trying to get a nice smoother finish and get this edge out of here where we taped. That's all we care about at the moment. We're gonna 500 grit this whole thing, and then we'll be ready. We'll be to this point, and then we're gonna come back, we're gonna retape it, and we're gonna paint it. It's another way of cleaning all this off. I just get a paper towel, and this is a shop blower. I use this probably more than any tool in my shop. There. Okay, let's go too far. So we got a tack cloth here. You can get these at Harbor Freight, pretty much anywhere that sells paint. Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's. You usually want to take them out of the package and string them up for about a half hour, just somewhere. And then we're just going to come back and we're going to tape it just like we did before, just like I showed you. We're just going to go right along that line, and we want to be where, if we have to, we can see a little bit of the wood. We don't want to have a primer spot there, so you want to be able to be right on that line, or you can see just not even a 32nd of that wood, because that will cover some. But you just don't want that gray edge around there when you're done taping. So I'm trying to stay out of it. Tape and show you all at the same time, so then we'll just keep going around just like we did before, taping off the wood part. Okay, we're back in the paint box here. We taped both of our cabinets off, like we showed you previously. We're going to tack cloth both of them. I got one just off camera over here. We already blew them off with this once we got them in here. Then we're going to tack cloth out everything, even the paper, start to spray some color on it, which is just a Rust-Oleum Perfect Gray is what it's called. And we're just going to put on color. I'm not trying to get a finish. And I've already pre-shaken this, so it doesn't dry very well. And you'll get all that buildup along there that when you pull that paper back off, it's going to look terrible. But we're just going to keep doing this, and that's about as heavy as I'm gonna. It's about as heavy as I'm gonna do it for my first coat. I'm gonna put my mask on and go tell them. Well, we got about 20 minutes of time after we sprayed this, so we're gonna come back and we're gonna put some more coats on it. I'm gonna go over the paint that I got. I got a Rust-Oleum 2X. I think 2X just means that it covers twice as good. Doesn't mean anything. This one's ultra matte, which I usually get matte or satin because it dries faster, and I don't use gloss type of paint in a can because it just never dries. It's always got a tackiness or at least fingerprints, so I always get a matte or a satin. This I did years ago with Rattle Can. This is actually a Krylon with a 2K clear over, which was kind of a pain to do. Krylon, you gotta spray the paint and then clear it right away, or else it'll just curl on you. So we're gonna get busy and put another coat on here and just do another light one just like we did. You wanna make sure you get under there so you get that whole edge. If there's overspray underneath, we don't care. Don't look bad. I see a little piece of dirt on the top that will get out of there once it dries. Okay, we're gonna grab that piece of fuzz or something I see in there. And this is why I like flat satins. It's nice. With gloss, you couldn't do that. You would leave imprint marks all over the place. Okay, let's put coat number 3 in. Okay, I'm gonna do the other one. I think we'll be out of paint, so hopefully we got it covered. All right, we've been about 45 minutes. It's pretty dry. I mean, if you grabbed it, it would leave fingerprints, so we're not gonna do that. We're gonna let it dry a little bit longer, but we're gonna pull our paper off. We're gonna talk about, it takes 1 can to do both speakers, and 1 can. Pull the tape and we'll come back and we'll see if it's dry after I pull the tape. And we'll go from there. If not, we'll give it another, probably a half hour or so. Let it dry a little bit longer, and then we'll put some clear on. Yeah, so here we're pulling pull it against that tape mark. If you pull straight out, you might peel some of that paint up. We don't want to do that. So pull straight down. Yeah, I think we're gonna give it another half hour. All right, tape's pulled. We're gonna tack cloth it nice and lightly, not holding the tack cloth on that paint, because you could leave some glue residue behind. So make sure your cloth doesn't get caught in those holes. It's tacked. This is the clear we're gonna use. Spray Max. Glamour clear, so it would be shiny. We'll show you how to do that. Pull that red thing off the top there. Put it at the bottom. And that breaks a cylinder or a bladder in here, and that releases into that clear coat. And then that is activated now. So I'm going to shake this for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and I'll start to clear. All right, let's put some clear on it. Just going to do a light coat at first, so nothing, if it runs, we don't want it to take that paint and run it down the side of our stuff, so we're going to do a light coat, that way it sticks to the sides, and then we'll do a heavy coat the next one. I'm going to do the second one, we'll be back. Okay, been about 10 minutes. It's sticky, but it's not, it's tacky, but it's not sticky. Like when you pull your finger off, it leaves a big string. Nope, it's not like that. So we're gonna do another coat. A little thicker. And I'm trying to see in the light when I'm spraying so I can get a shine on it as I go. I'm not trying to leave a bunch of dry spots behind. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next one and we'll be back. Okay, I think it's last coat. And you could put on as many coats as you want, you just gotta let it flash. And flash means you gotta let it dry long enough so the next coat that you put on merges, but yet it's not dry, too dry where it seals it in. So that's what we call flash. Well, let's get it painted. Should be done after this. This one I'm really watching the shine across there so I can get it as smooth as possible without running it and without leaving dry spots. All right, it's been about 10 minutes since we sprayed it. Try not to make too much dust or anything. My booth is not the cleanest. I'm gonna grab the camera and we're gonna walk around a little bit. Ooh. So I would recommend only 3 coats. I mean, it was tough just getting those 3 coats out of there, so. Yeah, that wood really sucked it up, even though we put some little orange peel. Not too bad for rattle can. Looks pretty good, don't mind the color. Here's the other one that I was doing off camera. So. I should be able to get a good reflection of that. Yeah, so all in all, pretty happy.